Hi, hello, good evening, my young officers. Welcome to this series called as Complete Economy Current Affairs for UPSC Prelims 2021. So this is Nisha Nujumudeen, your educator at Unacademy, an expert in Indian economy, current affairs and MCQs. So here we are dealing with part 16 guys of another important hit list economy topics which you should know before appearing for the UPSC Prelims 2021. So to know more about my profile and about my plus courses, below the description box of this particular video, you can find my Unacademy profile link. Clear? Yes, Kriti, good evening. So are you all ready guys to know another set of most important hit list hot topics of economy today? So I think till yesterday we have been discussing a lot of topics which is indeed very important. And today again the same thing will be continued. And as you all know, the benefit of this particular course is exam oriented hit list topics. Okay, that will be discussed in a short, crisp and to the point manner. And you can save a lot of time in making short and important notes for your self preparation as a whole. That is the biggest advantage of this particular course. Instead of spending too many hours or let's say too many pages in studying one particular topic, the concept plus the current affairs, the trending current affairs will be covered for you in just less than 30 minutes. All together I'm talking, all the topics together, which means for one topic we will not be taking more than 3 to 4 or let's say 5 minutes. That's it. So if you see in today's class, we have another set of topics and it is as follows. Topic number 66 talks about status paper on government debt. Then changes in bank licensing framework, followed by the Farmer Produce Trade and Commerce Act of 2020. And this is indeed a hit list topic from agriculture, followed by direct taxes and also freight corridors. So these are the diverse topics which we'll be discussing in today's class. Clear? Yes, Nikhil, Shivkumar, Amanda, good evening. Hi, Deva. Yes, Meena, Soham, good evening, all of you. Yes, Bandhana Sharma, ma'am, please tell me beginners में 2022 में attempt देना है, I'm confused है. Confusion मत करो Sharma, you can follow Unacademy Unlock. Okay, that is a channel for the beginners where I have done some videos as well. You can follow that. Yes, Anika, good evening. So now guys, if you see, I have another announcement for you people apart from my regular classes and schedule, which you can find in the slide. In the Unacademy South, we have changed the name of this channel to Namma IAS Academy. So in Namma IAS Academy, that is the Unacademy South channel, from today onwards at 7:30 p.m. for just 10 minutes, we have started a new series. That is economy booster sessions for just 10 minutes, wherein the most important economy topics will be discussed. 60 days, 60 important topics for the UPSC Prelims 2021. So today I had discussed a topic called as quantitative easing. So the link of that is already given in the various social media platforms and also in the Namma IAS Academy YouTube channel. You can just watch the video there. Clear? Perfect. So already, come on yaar, quickly give me a thumbs up. To study economics through everyday stories around the world, you should be. Yes, Soham, thank you. I think you watched it. So if you watched the video, don't forget to put a like and do share and put your feedbacks in the comment box, because that is very important for me to know how far you understood the topic and this kind of short sessions, is it benefiting you to a greater extent. I hope it will, but still, that is another confirmation as a whole from your end for me to keep taking more such classes for a short duration of time. And today being the International Day, guys, for the youth, that's International Youth Day, I wish you all a happy International Youth Day. Clear? Because youth are the soul of future. So now, it's not the soul, I can say it is indeed they are a hope for the future. So it's very important to observe August 12th as an International Youth Day. So a short video on International Youth Day for just 2 minutes from the UPSC perspective as to what to study, what not to study, like the history, the theme for the current year and also the importance is discussed by me. That will also be uploaded in the Namma IAS Academy YouTube channel. Clear? Perfect. So here we go. I think people are all so ready that they want to just study about the economy topics. I can see the Josh in you people. Great going. So every day at 9:30 p.m. you'll have this live classes. So to all the newcomers as well in the class, you can just make a note of it. So here we go. The very first topic is from the area public finance. So now if you see recently, the context why we study this is because the central government, they released the 9th edition of the status paper on government debt, We all know that Chalu government debt is indeed one of the big pillars of public finance. Because of the excess of expenditure that the government has to incur for the development and welfare activities, and the revenue that the government gets via taxation and non-tax sources is not sufficient, they have to resort to borrowing. And that borrowing puts them in a trap called as debt trap. So now with regard to the status paper on government debt, a 9th edition was released by the central government. Let's quickly have a look into what is a status paper and what is this government debt all about. Clear? Now, in the status paper on government debt means, what do they consist? They consist of something called as DMS. What is DMS? Debt management strategy. In simple terms, DMS is nothing but how will you manage the borrowing or the debt to repay back to the domestic or to the foreign or to the international institutions, and how will you be able to carry it forward in a proper manner. So now, such kind of status paper on government debt, yes Priya, it consists of what? Yeah. It consists of the central government's DMS strategy for the financial years 2019 to 2022. So this is enabling the government to have a proper planning with regard to the debt, or let's say with regard to the borrowing of them. And why do you think you need such kind of DMS, guys, a debt management strategy? First of all, we all know that the revenue that the government gets is too less, so they'll resort to borrowing to manage the expenditure activity. And too much of borrowing, what happens? Obviously, it will put them in trouble. Yes, Ojasvita, good to see you after a very long time. Yes, Kriti, yes, we have discussed this in a CA class. Exactly, Kriti, in the plus class, in the weekend batch courses, I have mentioned about this as well. Very good. You have a good memory, but I appreciate you for that. Back to class. So, talking about the, DMS. When such kind of debt management strategy is there, obviously it will enable you to ensure that the government's financing requirements, okay, and also the payment obligation or the liability that the government is having, they are met at the lowest possible cost. Just to make the debt or the borrowings in a very simplified manner without having much of burden, or let's say the so-called pressure for the government, such kind of DMS wala strategy, that is debt management strategy, is being undertaken. Clear? Now, do you think such kind of, government debt is indeed important to manage? Obviously, there are so much of importance with regard to what? With regard to the managing of government debt. See, when the government debt is managed properly, the level of the so-called public or government debt will affect what? The confidence of the investors. Should you really invest in this particular country because it is already in a big trouble? If it is in a proper way, then the investors from across, even from other countries, will have a very good confidence in investing in our country. And also, with regard to the level of government debt, the importance of that is it also impacts the fiscal capabilities of the government. Automatically, crowding out effect on private sector will happen. You know what is crowding out effect? In the same economy, current affairs class, I have discussed this with you people. That is, crowding out effect is nothing but when there is too much of expenditure by the government, they will resort to borrowing. Automatically, the economy will be in a condition where they'll not be able to function properly. So now the confidence of the private investors to invest in our economy decreases, leading to crowding out effect. You got the point. So the level of government debt also leads to what? The so-called crowding out or moving out of the investors from the private sector. Apart from that, fiscal repression of commercial banks along with other factors like price rise, that is inflationary pressure, exchange rate risk, and higher taxes in the future, etc., etc. So now, owing to all these reasons, it is very, very important that we are managing our government debt properly. Did you understand? Otherwise, all these issues will pop up. Clear? Now, let's quickly have a look into what are the, approach of the central government towards sustainable debt management. So, you would have heard about sustainable development, long-term development, sustainable ecosystem, etc., etc. But here, with regard to the debt or borrowing perspective or management of that, you have a sustainable perspective. So, here we go. One of the important approaches of our union government towards this sustainable debt management is dedicated agency to manage debt. That is why the government, guys, central government, they set up a statutory PDMA, that is Public Debt Management Agency. Why? Because they want to bring both the India's external, that is what you borrow from outside the country, and also the borrowings what you do within your country, called as internal or domestic debt under one single roof. Both internal plus external under one roof, called as Public Debt Management Agency. See, it is very simple. No matter whatever borrowings you do, whether you borrow from other country or from within your country, the whole point is borrowing is a borrowing. It's a debt or a liability. It should be under one single umbrella. That is one approach. So you'll be able to manage your debt properly. Second important approach by the government is, as a step towards this direction, what the government did is like they established a public debt management cell, and that was an advisory body within the budget divisions of the Ministry of Finance way back in the year 2016. So automatically through this they are having a feeling that they'll be able to manage the government debt properly. Did you understand, all of you? Yes, Nagendra, what is your doubt? If it is pertaining to this particular topic, I'll do it now. If it is something else, towards the end. Okay? That's all. This is what you should study with regard to this so-called topic. So now, moving on to the next important topic of the day. It talks about changes in bank licensing framework. So now this is also a topic which is from the subject area of finance and banking. Now it is again from the point of view of monetary policy, or let's say RBI, which is again one of the Hitlist topic. Okay. Yes, Kriti, what is it, ma'am? Our government more focused on sustainable development. Now, why, ma'am, so earlier there was no concept of SD? Kriti, the answer to your question is very simple. Remember, I have taught in the economy class, there was something called as, something called as Millennium Development Goals, MDG, before the Sustainable Development Goal, where there were only 8 goals. No poverty, no hunger was one goal. And now similarly, say various of the factors were comprised under one particular objective, and they were not able to achieve the target. And now your SDG, Sustainable Development Goal, is the revision of the Millennium Development Goal that we had by the UN. Okay, here every single 8 goal of MDG is been split up. No poverty is one goal, no hunger is another goal. You got the point, though they are credited as well. There is a particularity given to each of the objectives. That is, when you have a specialization with regard to attaining the objectives for the welfare of the economy, you will be able to work more towards that. So 8 has become 17 under the context of what? SDG goals. You got the point. That is why such kind of sustainability was brought in. And I can tell you something, the sustainable development is a concept which is brought quite some years back. It's a recent stuff, I can tell you, because when we focused on normal development, we never got results. That is, we got results by fulfilling only the present generation can need, but not the future. So you will have your children, you will have your grandchildren. Mustn't you take care of them also? If you keep exploiting, what will happen? Aren't we not suffering because of some of the activities done by our ancestors? Over exploitation of petroleum resources. Today we depend upon importing. Same thing for every other resource will happen. So in order to prevent that only, such kind of sustainable concept is brought in every sector, from the environment to the economy to the social and every other perspective. Did you understand? Indeed, that's a very good question that you asked, Kriti, because many students will not know. They think that sustainable is a concept introduced just like that. There is a notion behind it. It's a very good question you asked. I hope everybody has got the answer for that as well. Yes, Dheeraj Soni, what is it? Ma'am, आपको हिंदी भी आती है क्या? हाँ मैं आती है धीरज, क्यों? But this is an English class. You can just follow me for the English sessions. Anyways, मैं थोड़ा तो मालूम है धीरज क्या? Now, moving on to the next topic of discussion, as I told you, the changes in bank licensing framework. So now, recently, the central bank of our country, that is RBI, what did they do? They have their internal working group called as IWG. What did they do? They suggested revising licensing norms for the banking industry. In that particular context, we are going to study this. Clear? Now, before that, you should know what is the Banking Regulation Act, because if you want to revise the licensing norms or rules or regulations, you have to do that in accordance with the Banking Regulation Act of 1949. That is very much mandatory, because that is what even the central bank of your country, RBI, will suggest you. So here we go. If you see, according to the Banking Regulation Act of 49, it is said that no company in India shall carry on banking business unless and until that particular company has a license, and that should be issued on behalf of whom? It should be issued by the RBI. No doubt in that. Which means that just because you want to start a banking activity, you cannot open a bank just like that. You have to obtain a license, and that should be on the behalf in the behalf by the RBI. Clear? They should have a license issued by them. Otherwise, you cannot. Now, recently, due to some collectorums and corruptions and all these kind of frauderies, you know what happened? the RBI decided, the internal working group of RBI decided, chalo, let's revise few licensing norms, guys, with regard to the banking industry. Now you can connect. I think, this fellow, that is Nagendra in the class, asked regarding NPA, right? You can connect this in this question. I mean, not this question, this topic. The non-performing assets, in simple terms called as bad loans. What are they? Let's take the case of Vijay Mallya, or let's say Nirav Modi, the bada wala looters of our country, I can say, है ना? Both looting है ना? What did they do? They took crores of money from the public sector banks. They never repaid even the interest also. So basically, when one particular loan, let's say for example, when a loan is taken, okay, when a loan is taken from a bank, and when you do not even think of repaying it back, and for a period of 90 days or 3 months, the bank will send you a notice because not even interest has been paid. So that particular loan will become what? A stressed asset. Okay. Now, that stressed assets, again, when you ignore it completely, that turn out to be a bad loan or your NPA, that is non-performing asset. That is why I gave the example of Vijay Mallya and all. And in fact, as far as the country India is concerned, I can tell you that the very first economic fugitive bill, or let's say the economic offender, fugitive offender, is none other than Mr. Vijay Mallya, the Kingfisher wala. Seriously. Okay. So these kind of things that you can keep in mind, because these are highly connected. So now, keeping in mind the stability of these banks, it is getting decreased to a greater extent because of bad loans, NPA, that, this, etc. So it's very important even for the bank with regard to their licensing perspective. That is to discourage even the private banks from coming up without a proper licensing perspective. That is why this so-called concept was brought in. Clear? Now, what are the suggested changes by the internal working group of RBI, guys, with regard to change of bank licensing in the norms and all? Here we go. They said that hereafter, the large corporate and the industrial houses, they may be allowed as promoters of bank. Previously, that was not allowed. They said, chalo, let them be allowed like that. And second is your NBFC, that is non-banking financial companies. The well-run large NBFC, I should say that is an NBFC having an asset side of, let's say, 50,000 crore and above. Now, in such kind of situations, that NBFC can be considered for conversion into banks. Now, in this particular topic, okay, I should tell you one thing. Please make a note of this, guys. NBFC and bank, both are kind of a similar, stuff. But then a bank is a wider notion of that. What activities a bank does cannot be done by NBFC. A bank can accept demand deposit. I repeat, a bank can accept demand deposit, whereas an NBFC cannot accept demand deposit. These are the key words to be noted, because for your prelims, such kind of statements can come. Even for the 6 p.m. free class, which I do for you people, I keep telling you this, remember? So now, with regard to the NBFC, they say, chalo, you can even convert them to complete bank with all the privileges, etc. if their asset size is more than 50,000 crore. That's a good initiative, don't you think so? Yes. Now, apart from that, the few other changes suggested by the internal working group of RBI's report is that all the SFB, that is small finance bank and payment banks, with regard to that, chalo, hereafter the payment banks, they can be converted into SFBs, that is small finance bank. And now this kind of banks only is highly approached by the vendors, the agriculture people, the other small traders and all. That is why they took this decision. And now the next thing is that keeping of banks investment in any new or existing entity to how many percentage? That to a solid 20%. Clear? That's all. This is what you should, study with regard to this particular topic. Moving on to the topic number 68 of the day. The Farmer Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act of 2020. So now, why this particular topic is discussed is because this act is allowing intrastate and interstate trade of farmers' produce outside. That is, intra is what? Within your state. Let's say, for example, within Tamil Nadu or within Kerala, you can, have the trade from one district to another district. Inter is between Tamil Nadu, Kerala, between, Maharashtra, Punjab. You got the point. So, this particular FPTC Act, that is Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Act, it is allowing both intra as well as interstate trade with regard to whatever output has been produced by the farmer. Clear? Yes, Anjana Sharma, kya hai? Always development have some negative effect on environment. How could totally bring to zero? Kuch bana ke liye kuch, what is it? Okay. See, you are asking a question in the context of SD, that is sustainable development. Hold on, Anjan Sharma, I'll explain to you on that context towards the end. Just remind me, okay? So here we go. Yes, Amanda, does PCA framework can be connected? Obviously, Amanda, that is the last topic you can connect. Prompt corrective action framework, no doubt in that. Just remind me towards the end, Amanda, I'll explain that topic as well. That is also an important Hitlist topic, no doubt in that. Clear? So now, talking about this so-called Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Facilitation Act, if you see, you should know what is the trade of farmers produce. Now, as far as this particular act is concerned, okay, what they allow is you can do the trade within the state and also outside the state, between the states. Here, the physical premise of the market yards, okay, which is run by the committee, that is market committees, they will be formed under the State Agriculture Produce Market Committee Act. And also every other market notified under the State APMC Act will come under this. Clear? This is how we can do a trade. But these days, guys, even your Agriculture Produce Marketing Committee has been replaced with the so-called online, or let's say the digital transactions and tradings done by the farmers. Don't you think so? Because we have been developing in the field of agriculture to a greater extent. That is why this kind of change is also happening. Yes, Priya, can we connect GEM to this? Obviously, government e-marketplace. Very good, Priya. I'm very happy that these days my students are able to follow the pattern in which I want you to come. That is the method of interlinkaging. From one keyword, fatafat to the next keyword. If you see APMC Act, or let's say the trade of farmers. Today, government e-market. E-matlab electronic market. Of course, that is indeed another Hitlist topic. The related one. You can revise that as well. I think I think 2 days before, in that class we discussed regarding the same topic, if I'm not wrong. Yes, Ram? Yeah. So thus, what is electronic trading, guys? These days online, or let's say e-trading is on the rise. So now through the so-called electronic trading, they'll permit the online trading of scheduled farmers produced. Okay, that is the agriculture produce regulated under any state APMC Act in one particular specified trade area. And what is electronic trading, guys? Such kind of online trading and transaction platform, it is basically put up so that they'll be able to facilitate direct and online buying and selling of such produce without much of killattaram, without much of intermediaries coming up or wholesalers coming up and disturbing the farmers and looting them. They'll be able to carry forward their activity or sell their produce in a better way and have a wider reach as well, because online means across you can reach without a physical barrier of trading. Clear? Yes, Soham, what happened? My brain not working today at all. क्या दिमाग खराब हो गया आज? कुछ नहीं, problem नहीं है यार, थोड़ा polish करो, you'll be fine. I think you need lithium shake from the plus classes. We'll get you, do not worry. Now, these are just for you to know, guys, which are the entities who can establish and operate such kind of platforms, electronic platform with regard to the farmer produce trade and all. One is companies, partnership firms, registered societies, and so many other stuff which has been notified by the central government. Then an FPO, that is farmer produce organizations or any agriculture cooperative society. All these entities can establish and operate in such kind of electronic trading platform. Clear? Yes, Ojaswita? Akka had 67 topics already been completed. Yes, it has. You have not been following this session. Do not worry. You can follow the previous sessions and the playlist will be given. Okay. So you can use that. I mean, you can watch the videos from that as well in a regular series. Now, moving on to the next topic of the day. That is topic number 69, talks about direct taxes. So now this is a very, very simple topic, and this is from the area of public finance. In fact, I can tell you in the context of fiscal policy, anything dealing with taxation that comes under fiscal policy, and anything dealing with money supply, or let's say the central bank, that is monetary policy. So now with regard to direct tax, recently if you see, there was a topic, a hot topic as to there was a need for a direct tax reforms due to the excess of corruptions, the killatrams. Chalo, there was a huge need for that. Okay. So here we go. Let's quickly have a look into this particular topic's current affairs. Now basically, what is a direct tax? We all know. It is a tax directly paid by individual to the government without passing on the burden. So let's quickly have a look into it. It is a tax where the incidence and the impact of taxation falls on the same entity, which means that all these salaried individuals, when you pay your tax, okay, or sorry, when you get your income, you get a portion of your income cut, which means the tax has been taken. You feel the pinch of paying the tax when you get your salary. That is, the incidence and the impact is on the same person when you pay direct tax. Directly from your income, fatafat like that, they cut the tax amount. If your income is, let's say, 20 or 30,000, you may get only 27 in your hand, or let's say 28 in your hand. There is something called as TDS, tax reduction at source. All these are part of direct tax. Clear? So thus, a direct tax is nothing but what? A tax that we pay directly to whom? The government authority. Because they are the one who impose tax on you, right? Now, there are different type of taxes. If you see, you do have progressive tax, you have regressive tax, digressive tax, and proportional tax. All these conceptual things are not that important, but still, out of your proportional, progressive, regressive, and digressive taxation, the kind of taxation that we follow in our country, India, is progressive. That is based on the ability of an individual to pay, he or she will be taxed. If your income is 10,000, you will be taxed accordingly. If your income is 1 lakh, you will be taxed accordingly. 2 lakh accordingly. There will be tax slabs for that. And that doesn't mean that if you have a high income, you will be taxed too much. Then that is also a problem. People will find ways and means to escape or evade paying taxes, which will lead to a lot of collaterums, and then the government's revenue will become less. So the government has to balance in such a way that they are always keeping the tax rate at a little lower rate to ensure that they get a regular or a steady flow of income. Clear? Yes, Ram, can ma'am speak Hindi? अरे हिंदी में बात करती है यार, हिंदी में अच्छा बात करती है. Or you want me to talk in English also, I can talk. Malayalam samsarikan or Malayalam samsarikan. Tamil பேசணும் adu பேசுற. Which language you want? Don't tell me that you want Japanese. That will be difficult for you to understand. Whichever language. Chalo, English is quite comfortable because you will be able to understand better. Yes, Gudiya, where were you? So yes, Akash, 96 to 98% is indirect collection, ma'am. Why is direct tax still important? Wonderful question, Akash. See, you and me, though we pay direct tax also, okay. When you go to a market, when you want to buy, let's say for example, one particular product, you pay the indirect tax, today called as GST, that is goods and service tax. And you do not feel the pinch of paying it because the price is, the tax is inclusive in the price of the commodity. Maybe the actual price of, let's say, this particular pen would be, 20 rupees. But then you buy it for 50 rupees, which means it is inclusive of taxation, other profit, etc., etc. You got the point. So irrespective of the fact that you are paying a direct tax also, when you go to the market or to the economy to buy any products, it is highly inclusive of the indirect taxes. And I will tell you that the most popular form of taxation is none other than the indirect taxes. Today we call as GST. Previously, if you see, you had sales tax, you had excess duty or VAT, that is value-added tax, etc., etc. You had n number of indirect taxes, and the corruption or the collateral was huge. But today, all the indirect taxes since 2016 has been put forward under one particular umbrella called as goods and service tax. It is very, very important Hitlist topic. There were so many news articles in this particular topic, guys, recently called as GST compensation cess. Then GST compensation cess wala act. Because the state governments were not benefiting too much because of the pandemic. You can just relate to all the current affairs class which I have taken. I think the plus students will know it better because I have covered all these topics for you, remember? That is why I keep telling you, come for the plus classes. Because there you get a continuous, wide and a continuous, knowledge based on all this. Clear? Is it very clear for all of you? And regarding the progressive tax as well, the kind of taxation that we follow in our country, India, I mean the direct tax. And that's a good thing because based on your ability or income to pay, you have to pay. Which means the rich will pay more and the poor will pay less. So the gap between the rich and poor can be reduced rather than widening it up. Clear? And the examples of direct tax, income tax, corporate tax, that is tax imposed on the income is called as income tax. When tax is imposed on the profit of a company is called as company tax or corporate tax. Then dividend distribution tax, wealth tax on property, today it is abolished. Then fringe benefit tax, etc., etc. Yes, Priya, is indirect tax regressive? Obviously, Priya, it is. See, the concept of regressive, digressive and all these taxations, now they are quite to be understood in a different perspective. So you have digressive and regressive taxations, guys. Okay. That is, it is said that indirect taxes, or let's say taxes on necessaries or essentials, they are regressive in nature because they take away a larger portion of lower income as compared to higher income. That is why indirect taxes are called as regressive. That is, for example, no matter you are earning 50,000 salary or 30,000 salary or 1 lakh a salary or 3 lakh a salary, if you want to purchase one particular commodity, the price will still be the same. So based on your capacity only you can buy. And if you want to still get the commodity, to a person with a lower income, it will feel quite, they'll feel it quite, as a burden in the context of paying a huge amount. But somebody who is able to afford it with a higher income, they will not feel it as a burden. That is the difference. Clear? That is why indirect taxes are regressive in nature. But you can make your indirect tax progressive. You know that? That is, you can make it progressive by reducing the rate of indirect taxes on the essential and necessary items. What are the essential items, guys? Food, clothing, shelter. Simple as that. You got the point? Yes, Akash. Is MRP a good idea, ma'am? Shouldn't that be reformed? See, MRP in what context you are asking, Akash, MRP tax? See, maximum retail price is called as MRP. Okay. Now, the name itself tells that it is the maximum price the seller can charge from the buyer, that is we the buyers. So this MRP is actually inclusive of all the taxes, including your what? GST, goods and service tax, which we call it as indirect tax. So it must be noted that the retailers now they cannot charge GST over and above the MRP because GST is already including the MRP on the product. So we can't say that MRP should be reformed, rather GST can be reformed. That could be the case. You got the point. MRP can't be reformed, but GST can be reformed. That is only possible. Yes, Akash, but ma'am, poor guy, rich guy, both pay same. Obviously, that's what I told you. See, it is your choice. When you're earning an income of 30,000 and an income of 1 lakh, you have to make a choice. What are the kind of commodities you want? Whether you want to buy an iPhone with 30,000 income or you want to go for an Oppo phone in your budget. That is your choice. You have to make a wise choice. You got the point. Because if you have a 1 lakh income, yeah, you can afford it without much burden. But the 30,000 will be hectic for you. Keeping in mind the other expenses you have to incur. So the choice of you should come there as a citizen. Here the concept of rationalism of the consumers. I repeat, rationalism concept of consumer and economics comes here. Did you get it? Yes, Kriti. How so, ma'am? Decreasing indirect tax, we can reduce direct one. It is not decreasing indirect tax, reducing direct one, Kriti. I mean indirect taxes which are regressive in nature. That is, both the rich and the poor pay the same price to get the product. At the in the context of indirect taxes. When you buy one particular product, whether you're rich or poor is not the matter. If you want it, you pay the same price. Now you can make it progressive in the context that progressive means a rich person and a poor person. Take care. Comparing them, a poor person will be able to pay less of indirect taxes in the context that if the price of the essential commodities like food, clothing, shelter, all these things are reduced. If it is too high, then it becomes costly for the poor person. Here we take into consideration the poor people because they constitute the majority. That is the whole notion. Did you get it, all of you? See, I know that this particular concept is a very big concept. That is why multiple questions comes in your brains. I'm very happy to address all your doubts. These are the important topics, so please make a note of it. Whatever doubts you're asking, I'm clearing to you because I know you get confused in these topics. So note it down, so it will be useful for your revision as well. Clear? I hope all your doubts are cleared. So here we go, talking about the direct tax reform. Don't you think so there is a need here for this? Obviously. See, if the income tax is too much, will you pay tax? Let's say for example, see, this doesn't mean that I will do Kallatharam. I'm telling you an example. I may show that I may have an agricultural land. I may show some other stuff, calling a good CA wala and saying, chalo, do some Kallatharam for me. I do not want to pay too much of tax here. So I'll find ways to evade if the income tax is at a higher rate. I mean, doesn't mean that I'll do it. I know you will think, chalo, ma'am is telling we can do some Kallatharam or Badmash to evade taxes. Don't do all those. Okay. So if the taxation rate is too much, people have a tendency here, very natural to escape or evade paying taxes. So now, in order to make the direct tax more, simplified and to ensure that there is a proper revenue, coming for the government through taxation, you have to simplify the income tax structure by reducing the tax slab. So it is affordable to everybody and nobody is feeling that heaviness. Second is the corporate tax structure, that is a company tax, the tax on the profit earned by the company, that has to be simplified. Because many a times now large companies, they also do kallattaram, so let's say some other activity to evade taxes because they do not want to pay a huge amount of money to the government as a tax from their profit. So if you're kind of simplifying that, they will not exempt themselves from paying tax. Next is widen the tax base. For that you can revise the tax rates at a lower slab and decreasing all the difficulties or complexities which are involved in the direct tax system. And next is reducing tax legislation. For that you have to address the tendency of tax officials to take an action without the necessary justification or assessments. Clear? Yes, PB is saying the rich can avoid taxes with loopholes but not the middle class. PB, I would redefine that statement in this way, that it is a truth. But our country, India, we have majority middle class population. I think more than the rich, the middle class people are even more double smarter. Double wala kallataram they will use by calling a simple CA wala. Because you do not pay the same amount that you pay as taxation as a fees to the CA wala. So they will make a form and give you to pay. You tell me in the month of March, why you people run and show the insurance certificate? The premium I have paid so much. I have got this star wala insurance, religare wala insurance. Why? Because you want to evade or escape from paying taxes, right? Simple as that. And these are not rich people. They are all middle class income people only. Everybody has a tendency. So we can't say that it's just the rich walas has better ways. In fact, for rich walas it is difficult, I can say, these days because of rules, because of regulations and so many stuffs like that. But middle income people now, they have very smart. Ekdam brainy hai. Anyways, that's all with regard to that particular topic. But I think the simple topic of direct tax has even taken you to the opposite one, that is indirect taxes, and so many doubts of you has been cleared as well. So please make a note of it. So the extra important topics to read is GST Compensation Cess Act. I repeat, GST Compensation Cess Act from the indirect tax perspective. It's a very, very important Hitlist topic. Don't forget it. Clear? In many classes of mine, I have told you this before. Now, the next important topic of today's class is about the freight corridors. So now this is from the area development, and why we study this is because recently the PM of our country, Modi, he inaugurated the new Bhaupur, new Khurja section and the operation control center of the EDF, that is Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor. So now Eastern as well as Western Dedicated Freight Corridors are important Hitlist topics. Take care. But now, yes, Rajput, but now with regard to this particular freight corridors, we are giving an importance to the newly opened Eastern Wala Dedicated Freight Corridor. Clear? Now, if you see the so-called new Bhaupur, new Khurja section, what are they? They are a 351 kilometer section between two places in Uttar Pradesh, that is UP, Khurja and Bhaupur. And it's a state-of-the-art operation control center is located where? Again in Prayagraj, UP, guys. And now this so-called, new Wala control center that has been section and control center that has been operated, guys, in this Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor. They are a high-speed and high-capacity railway corridor. And why do you think they have been put forward? These kind of corridors have been put forward because they are highly dedicated for the freight movement. Matlab, the movement and to build to affirm what? A higher throughput per train. So they'll be able to have a more significant share in the freight market. Clear? And actually the dedicated freight corridor, as I told you, there are two wings or arms. One is Eastern and one is Western. Both are equally important. But this particular topic is talking about the Eastern dedicated freight corridor that is recently opened. Clear, in the UP. And additionally, if you see, you even have 4 more corridors like the East Coast, Kharagpur to Vijayawada, then East West, Kolkata to Mumbai, then North South, Delhi to Chennai, from the north to the extreme south, and also Southern Wala, Chennai to Goa sub corridors. They are also on the pipeline. Clear? So let's quickly have a look into what is Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor in short and simple term. Just few points on that. Basically, if you see the so-called EDFC, there will be 1,856 km long from the Sanhiwal in Punjab to Dankuni in West Bengal. And they will be having a double electrified tracks. and it is said that this Eastern DFC they'll run across 6 states. And basically this particular corridor, they are projected to cater to a number of traffic streams as well, I can tell you. Clear? And if you see the coal for the power plant in northern region of UP, Delhi, Haryana, Punjab. And if you see parts of Rajasthan from the eastern coal fields, then finished steel, food grain, cement, fertilizers, limestone from Rajasthan, all these things, guys. Basically in the east, in general good, that's why what they transport as a whole. So that's all, my young officers. We are done for the day. I hope you really enjoyed this session. So don't forget to like, share and put your valuable feedbacks in the comment box. And I'll see you all tomorrow at the same time, 9:30 p.m. with another set of most important hit list topics pertaining to Indian economy for the UPSC Prelim 2021. So whatever doubts, whatever queries you have, feel free to stay in touch with me. And all the notes will be definitely given to you in the PDF format via Telegram channel. And at the same time, in the Unacademy South channel called as Namma IS Academy, I am even taking a short 10 minutes economy series, the most important economy topics for 10 minutes. Don't miss it. It will be in English. And today, one session has started. You just go to the channel, you'll get the notifications. Clear? So I hope you really enjoyed the class. Thank you so much, my young officers. I'll see you all tomorrow. Till then, stay safe. Shubh Ratri, good night and Jai Hind.